Yo, what's up, y'all? So, I typically don't know how long I'll be on, maybe 25, 30 minutes, unless you guys want to join. But what I'm talking about today is a group called NAMBLA. Now, if you're not familiar with NAMBLA is, because I wasn't, until I saw Riley stream the other day. And it's hold on, we're gonna go to it. I first saw this group with a screen share. Well, I first saw this group, it was on South Park. And I did not think it was real. It was like 10, 15 years ago. But I thought it was like I thought it was like a joke thing that they did. I didn't think it was real. But it is. And here it is. It's North American Man Boy Love Association. Founded when? December 2nd. I have my ex-girlfriend's son is that or is that no, that's my family member's birthday that day. 1978. And it is still a thing. And when I did some very, very brief like research on it, I did not. There was nobody in their group that was reported to have been arrested or served any jail time. So they're actual advocates for saying, "Yo, we need to fuck these little boys." And no news press. Like, how does this group just go to be forgotten? And like nobody even knows. You know what I mean? Like again, I did very brief research on it. I I hope all the participants are old because otherwise that would mean that they're recruiting, which means they're able to get younger people involved. So the founder actually died last year. His name was David Thorstad, and we're going to go to that later. But as you see, their focus is pedophile and pedestrian, which is a sexual relationship between an adult man and a pubescent or adolescent boy. The term pedestrian is primarily used to refer to historical practices of certain cultures, particularly ancient Greece and ancient Rome. Ancient Rome did that? Nobody never brings that up, though. Of course, they're in San Francisco. But I'm going to read this part right here. I'm not reading all this shit, but I'm going to read this part right here, and we'll go from there. So, so excuse me. The North American Man Boy Love Association, NAMBLA, is a pedophilia and pedestrian, ped, pedestrian, I'm saying pedestrian, all right? I'm probably saying that wrong. Advocacy organization in the United States. It works to abolish age of consent laws, criminalizing adult sexual involvement with minors, and campaigns for the release of men who have been jailed for sexual contact with minors that did not involve what it considers coercion. So coercion, they don't have the definition popping up, but when I looked it up some years ago, it's basically when you do it by force, and not by physical force, but by any type of force. Like, I'm going to take your job away from you or your freedom away from you if you don't do this, which is some shit the government does all the time. But of course, government is God, so they get away with it. So right off bat, they not only say, "Yo, get the fuck out of here," say, "Yo, uh, we this is what we're into," but it also says, "Listen, actually, we don't think you should have gotten rid of the people who are actually in jail now or who went to jail for it. They're like, who are they talking to? Are they setting up shop somewhere? And like, all those people be banging the drums and shit and talking about Jesus and whatnot. Are they doing that? Or are they talking to lobbyists? Like, who are they talking to? Is what I want to know. Because they have to be talking to somebody to have some sort of notoriety. Oh, and then right here it says the group. I should have read this. The group no longer holds regular national meetings as of the late 1990s to avoid local police infiltration. The organization discouraged the formation of local chapters. Around 1995, an undercover detective discovered there were 1,100 people on the organization's rolls. 1,100 people. NAMBLA was the largest group in international pedophile child emancipation and international pro-pedophile activist organization. Yo, across the world. And this was like before like what we have now. Joe, 1990s. Do you know the type of communication you had in the 1990s? And this shit was still worldwide? That's determination. Since then, the organization has dwindled to only a handful of people, with many members joining online pedophile networks. According to Xavier Von Erck, director of operations at the anti-pedophile organization Perverted Justice. As of 2005, a newspaper report stated that NAMBLA was based in New York and did they forget? Oh, San Francisco. Okay. Events such as Anita Bryant's 1977 Save Our Children. Like I said, I'm not reading all this. Apparently had a court case in 2000. Cases which NAMBLA members were convicted of sexual offenses against children. Larry first, are any of these dudes actually American? Because none of these names sound American to me. The attorney representing the Curleys said the organization is, quote, training ground, quote, unquote, for adults who wish to seduce children. Yo, they went through this shit in 2000 and still 22 years later. That's how you know you definitely want to have to get this shit done. Definitely, dude. Like yo, if you catch me one time saying, yo, I'm trying to fuck a kid, I'm probably gonna shit, move to another galaxy or something. Like you gotta be to stand in the face of that. Whatever. Now this is the founder, and he didn't give a fuck, did he? David Thorstad was an American political activist, co-founder or ran a number of homosexual rights groups following the Stonewall riots. In 1969, including as a former president of New York's Gay Activist Alliance. He later engaged in pedophilia and pedestrian activism with the with NAMBLA, he was a founding member. Now, this is where that it gains ground that maybe the LGBT and pedophiles are like linked together, because you got one guy, the founder of like one of the prominent groups that's like really known, is gay, and he's advocating for this. So what if it's one of those hiding in plain sight things where instead of being just a dude, a gay dude trying to fuck boys, there's like, all right, you know what, just the trans thing is okay, let's just do that. Now that might be a huge leap. I'm going to assume it's a huge leap, but it's still plausible. There's still a possibility that they went that route. So it's some sort of a connection there. Now, I'm not gonna read all of this shit. I'll read this very first thing, and then y'all can come to this as y'all wish. Thorstad was active in Trotsky politics for some years. What is that? Trotsky is the political ideology and branch of Marxism developed. Yeah. For more than 6 years, he was a member of the Upper West Side branch of Socialist Workers' Party, SWP, and a staff writer for his newspaper, The Militant. He left the SWP in December 1973, citing the organization's lack of enthusiasm for the gay liberation, which is a movement. movement was a social political movement of the late 1960s through the mid 1980s that urged lesbians and gay men to engage in radical direct action and to counter societal shame with gay pride. The in the feminist spirit of personal being political. The Let's move down. Okay, I will have to go actually to the site. I'm not doing that. In 1976, he self-published a collection of internal property documents relating to its discussion of the gay liberation movement under the Little Gay Liberation and Socialism. Documents from the discussion of gay liberation inside the Socialist Workers' Party. Okay, all right, this is where. Okay, I'm probably a little fucked up. I'll understand if you say that because I'm more pissed off at the Socialist Party. In the early 1970s, Thorstad was president of the Gay Activist Alliance. Let's fucking read that for once. It was founded in New York City, December 21st, 1969, almost 6 months after the Stonewall riots, by a dissident member of the Gay Liberation Front. In contrast to the Liberation Front, that's they have an alliance. We'll look it up. In 1973, Thorstad and John Lutheran published the earliest homosexual rights movement, 1864 1935, and the SWP Internal Discussion Bulletin, attempting to prove that the gay liberation movement had a long and substantial history. The 14-page historical survey was expanded the next year into a 92-page book of the same name published by the Times Change Press in a New York publishing house specialized in feminist and politically progressive books. The book was translated into Spanish and German. In 1977, Thorstad was founded the Coalition for Lesbian and Gay Rights, which was an umbrella organization based in New York City, active from 1977 to 1994. It provided the lesbian and gay groups trying to end discrimination based on sexual preference. All right. Let's do this. Put yourself in in the position of these people. And when I mean these people, I mean the people in the NAMBLA group. They said they stopped gathering in like the 90s, but even so, because I'm pretty sure they still do some sort of gathering. But just imagine either way, like what do you talk about? Because like now, the only thing I have in comparison personally is basketball. And we all like they do group texts and shit like that, or Facebook, or I have an app called Meetup where we schedule basketball meetings and whatnot, and we straight up talk about where we're going to go hoop, when we're going to go hoop, how many people, shit like that. So if you're a part of NAMBLA, wouldn't it be correct to think that a part of what takes place in these discussions is, hey, anybody know any little boys that's like up for grabs? Hey, does anybody know any like what do we like playgrounds, some shit, like wouldn't that be it? Or to give the benefit of the doubt, if I dare, hey, does anybody know a politician that have passed a law? Like what exactly even goes through your head at these meetings? That's what I want to know. There's something going on with Google, man. I can't. The image stuff is all like weird. Okay, so this is right there. That's David Thorstad right here. Now, who the fuck doesn't know that is something wrong with that guy? And I'm not being funny either. Real talk. If you see this dude just casually walking around, You don't think maybe something? And fuck the whole don't judge a book by cover. No. No, 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 no. There are times where you look at a book and go, that's that not that book. Burn that book. Like, really. And who the fuck would want to be co-founders of anything socially with this guy? Like, don't, what kid is not afraid of this guy? That they wrote a piece about him. I heard on Riley's show that NAMBLA and the gays had, whoa. Is that a real NAMBLA thing, or is that, I'm not going to guess because I have no context of that, so I'll leave it alone. But yo, let's think about this, though. Let's go back to this dude's, let's go back to his Wikipedia. Like, he didn't have, I don't think he ever went to jail. And he died of natural causes. He was like 78 when he died. So think about that. Think about all the people who get, like, harassed or pulled over or just all types of shit. And they get, like, shot, arrested, all that. This dude died of natural causes. And I read somewhere he said he was never, like, jailed for anything. So when you look at a film like Jeffrey Dahmer, it's like, well, how do you get away with all this shit? It's like, dude, that's how. Like, nobody really, like, if nobody is touching a no pun intended, but if nobody's touching the founder of NAMBLA, what the fuck they gonna do with some random dude walking up down the street who's just Jeffrey Dahmer? Who's doing anything with that? That's man, that is like, what we can say that is. Remember, Jeffrey Dahmer did it about around this time, like 1980s, early 1990s, when they finally just stopped their whole thing. In Milwaukee, New York is what is that, like a 15-hour drive? NAMBLA. And here's the thing. As many times as I've typed NAMBLA in this dude's name into here the last few days, my Google won't remember it. It will not remember it. Why I want to remember the fucking NAMBLA thing? Now, you can say that they're just trying to, like, save kids. Maybe they might type in the wrong thing, or maybe they're trying to type name. They don't want NAMBLA to pop up. I'll give them that benefit of the doubt and not say that they're trying to, like, protect NAMBLA. NAMBLA and LGBT. I'm assuming that they're trying to say that. Oh wait, let's go to all. Demonize the gay community as pedophiles by focusing on the controversial splendor. Gay youths try to distance themselves. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything that might suggest that the LGBTQ community openly promotes NAMBLA. So, let's just see what Quora has to say. Is NAMBLA a part of the LGBT community? This is Beth. Said, been gay all my life and happy to. I had to Google NAMBLA. I wish I had. To answer your question without being offended as I really should be, no, it absolutely is not. Let me explain carefully what the LGBT community is. You can't explain that community without talking about all the other shit. It's called Plus. Like it has a plus at the end of it, like a subscription service. So you can't really explain what it is. I'm not sure. The 7th this year. It doesn't have a year, so I'm assuming that it's this year. Lesbian, women. I'm not reading the definition. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans. And real quick, even in the gay community, women is like, we not with y'all niggas. We're not. Do your own thing. We're not with y'all. Even in the LGBT community. Trans, then you have all the QIA2++ businesses for which you can find definitions yourself. None of these have anything to do with pedophiles. LGBT etc. people tend to band together for their own protection and mutual support. There is no support for pedophiles apart from other pedophiles. Consent is the key, and only adults can give consent. Oh, you just put the LGBT community in the hole there. So, despite childish attempts to drag gay, trans, etc. people through the mud by promoting non-existent links to pedophilia and zoophilia, we have SOD all to do with it. Children cannot give consent. Neither can animals. Adults can. Please learn the difference to treat pedophiles as the criminals they are. Now, right here, hold on. Children cannot give consent. Problem is the LGBT community is saying that they can give consent on a sex change. They can give consent on like hormones and shit, like to start their journey, T blockers, shit like that. The LGBT community is saying they can give consent to that. Here in Michigan, a guy that follows politics, because I don't, I just straight ticket Republican. He told me that Prop 13 allows 13-year-olds to go and seek surgery without parents' permission, which is believable because in some states it is already before this midterm legal for a girl as young as 12 years old to go and get an abortion without any consent, and nobody needs to say anything to the parents. Which, by the way, all of you who agree with that, you always want to bring up the typical rape and incest, which is actually put you in the corner, because if you're saying that this little girl was raped, why the fuck would you just let her get rid of the evidence and then send her back on her merry way, probably to the person who you would say is her father that raped her? Dumbass. So if you're going to say children cannot give consent, well, you have to tell all the people in your community that they must shun any type of bar dancing. That Desmond is great dude, the kid that was stripping at a gay bar, all the shit like that. You have to condemn that as well. But no, you're just going to say here children cannot give consent, but then elsewhere it's totally fine. And I'm not going to read the rest of that. I do, however, want to go. Oh crap, that's the wrong one. I want to go to a video that I seen. Where is it? Oh, Vice. Okay. And then I'll be done because nobody's been watching this shit at 25 minutes. I should have just stopped now, but whatever. We'll go ahead and watch this video by Vice. It's called "The Man Who Called Himself Non-Offending Pedophiles." I don't know how you can do that, but okay. Let's read some comments first. I think if people are inclined to abuse children, they should avoid professions where they're around children. This is a dumb statement to fucking make, dude. What person is going to go, oh, hey, I'm a pedophile. Let me keep myself away from, like, come on, man. If I like crack, why would I, like, oh, that's a crack factory. I can't work there because I like crack. I'm going to try my best to work at the crack factory. This is stupid. I have some level of respect for a person that hasn't done anything but admits they need and want help. Okay, so don't say shit like this because we have no clue if they're lying. Now, I'm the type of person that says until further notice, take face value if you can't really even give a slight, hey, they're lying type of ordeal. But due to the seriousness of the subject matter, don't say shit like this. All right. If you do not support preventative measures for potential offending pedophiles, you care more about your own anger than you do about children. I don't know what that means. Okay, but real quick, that reminds me. There are some countries that ban um, childlike sex dolls, and I'm not sure if America is one. But here's my thing: I don't think dolls, in that matter, should be banned because for one, it's a doll, and I haven't seen any research. I don't believe that a childlike sex doll is going to make you want to have sex with children. Because if I'm going to order a sex doll, it won't be a child. I'm not going to go on. You ever seen those ads on email and click them? I have. Them things look damn near real. Now, if I ever seen one that like a 11-year-old, I wouldn't even look at them. I would just be like, what the fuck is this? And just probably exit the website. But I think you already have to have that to whatever. Now, by not banning the doll, you're not then encouraging sex with minors. You're not. You might probably be giving don't fuck this, not the kid. So I think before we start doing that, we should look at what it possibly could do. Now, if you say that, hey, this actually, we have did research in of all of the people we've arrested for pedophilia, they all owned a doll at some point. Then you go, okay, fuck that. We're banning these dolls. Or actually, instead of banning the dolls, we get a ping every time someone orders one, and then we track the location of the addresses being sent to. That's how you do that. You don't just over regulate and go, oh, now we banned these dolls. Now we'll never know who the pedophiles are. Like it's stupid. That's stupid. That's like getting rid of chat rooms because pedophiles in the chat rooms instead of doing what the police did on that show and find the pedophiles. Like think bigger than you. I guess that's what that dude up there is saying. But it's just a dumb way to word that. I was sexually abused as a child. The abuse lasted for years. I support mental health care for people who recognize they have a desire to molest, but no, it's wrong. Saying pedophiles should be killed is stupid. Selfish and overly simplistic. True. It's obviously not going to happen and shouldn't happen to those who want to help prevent themselves from causing pain. Most people would rather be angry and self righteous than actually do anything to help reduce the number of kids who are victims. In order to actually reduce molestations, you have to treat people before they act. Saying you want to kill them only makes them go underground where they cannot get help. You're keeping the cycle of abuse going if you oppose therapy for people with these urges. It's a difficult subject, but I think once everyone needs to be informed about. If people with these urges could get treatment without fear of violation or discrimination, we would see sex crimes against children drop. Obviously, no one with those feelings should be around children, and I agree with those proposals to ban them from certain types of employment where they should supervise kids. Okay, I think that's what the first comment was actually trying to say. Um, where is it? Yeah, it is an overly simplistic idea, mainly because again, you're not going to get rid of bad from the world. You're not. So you have to be tactful to how to best manage it to the best possible rate that you can, and then when I say I use the term loosely, but be satisfied with the results. Okay. Um, because unless you literally want to have a situation where everybody is watched like all the time, and even then the watcher has to just so happen to not be a pedophile, you're going to have problems. You're going to have bad. You're going to have what people consider evil. You're going to have all this shit. So you have to just best manage your bad and live with it. But he said something I disagree with. Kids who victims saying you want to kill them, make them on the ground. You're keeping the cycle of. Okay, something in here is where I disagree, but I can't exactly remember how. But the idea that you yourself are going to keep the active abuse going because simply because you outwardly speak about your frustrations with pedophiles, you yourself are not keeping the cycle going. So that's one thing I do, but that's not what I had in mind. Damn it. Pedophilia would never be compatible with a safe fucking society. Alpha Debris knows more about these disorders and can actually help these people. I think that's what I was thinking. You can't. I'm not. Maybe some of it. Maybe you can suppress the urges. But I don't think it's something you can just therapy your way out of. Listen, here's my belief about the whole therapy thing. If you can simply therapy your way out of this, simply I use loosely, well then at that point you defaultly have a case for gay people. You have a point to say, we don't actually have to give you marriage. We could just give you therapy. You could say that. Or we don't have to deal with the dudes who want to wear fucking the rumpers, the leg rumper things and shit like that, and makeup and cross dress. We could just give you therapy. We don't have to accept young and May. We could just give her therapy. So you have to the whole therapy thing. I'm not a believer that it's actually correct. But I'll read this last one, then I'll go to the video. The idea is simple. Every person who has ever sexually abused, who has ever been sexually abused as a child, was first a person who was thinking about abusing a child. This person worded is horribly wrong because that sounds like two different statements. Let's read that again. Every person who has ever sexually abused a child. Okay, that's what he was saying. If you did it at some point, you thought about doing it. True. If you recognize that a person does not become a pedophile upon abusing but long before, then you can reach out and prevent tragedy. The compassionate thing for all parties, both perpetrators and victims, is to recognize the reality of this condition and reach out to adult spirits. Okay, this is never going to happen. This is never going to happen. People, listen, I understand what you're saying and understand what I said earlier. But this is never going to happen because I wasn't saying shit like this. What he's basically saying is, hey, become a more accepting of pedophile society because pedophilia, I don't believe is an act. I think it's just a thought. I think that's the definition of pedophilia. I think molestation is the act. Be more accepting and open to pedophiles when they come to you about their desire to harm children. I mean, unless they're stupid, which they might be, they kind of know. Like, let's say I was a pedophile and I read shit like this, and people are just like, come out, pedophiles, let us know. I kind of know that the best case scenario is you take me and put me in de facto jail for fucking ever. Why would I do this? Is never going to happen. Stop it. You're going to have this problem. You have to kind of figure out who the pedophiles are. And even then, there's only so much you're going to be able to do unless you're for taking people's freedom before they actually commit a crime. Manage it best and live with it.
I wish people understood that, I mean, we generally don't like the fact that there are pedophiles either. Like, we didn't ask for this. It's something.
Off back is gay people. This is why it's linked to you so hard. No pun intended. Because the arguments are the same. love. No, I didn't choose it. It's the same. That's why it's linked to you so much. Now, I'm not saying it's the same, or they come from the same place. I'm not going to claim to know that, but the arguments are the same. And then again, where the hell did it's amazing how these reality shows always find people who do fucked up shit, but cops never can. Why?
Thing that a lot of people will be more comfortable ignoring, but when it's you, it's not really an option to ignore it.
This is David. He's known as a non-offending pedophile, someone who has a romantic and sexual attraction to kids, but says he's never abused a child. He wants help, but getting it in the US is risky.
When I was figuring this stuff out about myself, I decided that I couldn't tell anybody because I was pretty certain that at best.
So this guy saw his face. The producer, everybody that put this together. They saw this guy, and in exchange for this interview, they had to let him walk. They had to let him walk. Think about it. Think about this is the part where you go capitalism.
They would like desert me and just like I'd lose a friend or whatever, and at worst, like they'd tell absolutely everybody, and I'd be like,
it'd be dangerous for you.
It would be dangerous.
We've never thought about non-offending pedophiles. We focused all of our resources on after-the-fact interventions. How do we punish? How do we surveil? How do we keep track of sex offenders? What we need are interventions that can target the vast majority of sex crimes that can be prevented.
Dr. Letourneau is one of few researchers in the US focusing on preventive measures to help pedophiles. But getting them treatment is tough. Mandatory reporting laws in America require that therapists alert authorities when they suspect a pedophile is at risk of abusing a child.
If you are someone...
How obvious does that have to be, though? Because for one, I'm assuming you already know some sort of way that I'm a pedophile. So, but like, do I have to just blatantly tell you, like, man, I'm having urges? Or do I have to say, oh, I'm going to go walking to this store and you like know that there are kids there? That's a question that I would have for this law. How blunt does this forethought have to be?
That has an attraction and you go to a therapist and you say, I have these attractions for young people. What could happen?
Any number of things could happen. Even if you've never offended, if you're sexually interested in children, you reach out to a therapist for help, they may decide that you still represent a threat and that their concerns meet the threshold for a mandatory report. I know of a child who's at the age of 15 disclosed to his school guidance counselor that he had sexual interest in young children and he wanted some help and support around that. He got kicked out.
Oh, fuck. 15? 15? I want to know this dude's situation, yo. I want to know this dude's situation. Because I want to know if it's actual an actual situation, or was he looking for some sort of attention? Because this is like, I'm taking myself back to 15. I don't think I've told people shit that I was interested in at 15, besides like hooping.
Out of school. And they assumed, as many people do assume, that someone with sexual interest in children, that they cannot control themselves, that they will just reach out and grab the first child they see off the street and rape that child. And that's not true.
This is a PSA you're not likely to see in the US.
Yo, look, I make the same face and get just as nervous when I'm around people, kids by myself too. Not because I think I'm a fuck them, but because other people's kids is annoying as hell, for one. And two, remember that same kid say the darndest things? Yo, I don't want to make him laugh. Not when I'm by myself. I don't like that ball he had. I don't want to play ball with him. I don't want to do shit because I don't want to. People have to see something that look weird, or they go and say some goofy shit that sound weird, and it's like, hold the fuck. Like I have the same reaction when I'm around people's kids.
Do you like children in ways you shouldn't?
What the fuck?
There is help.
The campaign was produced by Prevention Project Dunkelfeld, one of the only places in the world that offers therapy to pedophiles.
We do not have these mandatory report laws as you have in the United States.
Yes.
This is an obstacle for prevention work because nobody would show up.
Since 2005, about 10,000 people in Germany have reached out to Dunkelfeld for help.
Is this like conversion therapy? Are you trying to cure these people?
No, it's not possible to change sexual orientation. I never would try that.
So are you saying that pedophilia is a sexual orientation?
Exactly. We have a lot of sexual minorities, and this is all part of this huge variety. So no.
Okay, I probably shouldn't have stopped it so they can explain what's going on. Because my first thought is, okay, if it's a sexual orientation, are you making a sexual orientation illegal? Or the act of that sexual orientation illegal? Because in America, that you can't do that because by default, you're discriminating, hate crime, blah, blah, blah. Which would explain why they're trying to make it a sexual orientation. Which then, okay, listen, LGBT, that it always going to swing right back to you. It always will. Once you, the reason is, I think is because once you break open the seal of anything, it's like the whole, it's always going to go bad now, all of it. Yeah, you might have wanted just one thing, and that's not really that bad, but you can never stop the escalating issue that comes after that.
Nobody chooses this. And as long as he not would act out, it would be very, very inhuman to judge such a person. And I would always vote to integrate him in society.
Dr. Bauer estimates that 1% of the population is pedophilically inclined, and nearly all of them are men, but not all of them offend.
Okay, I have a problem when they do stats like that. You're going to tell. So I had a back and forth with this chick on Instagram before, and she hit me with the 90% of rapists are men. That's how men are this and blah, 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 blah. But what percent of men are rapists? See, people take stats like that and just fucking run with it. And I'm not saying they are on this show, but people do this shit and it's fucking annoying. 1% of the population is pedophiles, which, well, I guess they admit that they are, but all are men. But it's like, yo, that would be like half or 1% of men are that. But because they're all men, that's the only thing that people are going to think about. Never mind the teachers who have the jobs doing this that fuck their students. No. And they fuck all their high school students, but we're not going to assume that they're grooming ever. Okay. Has any woman teacher ever been investigated for grooming after fucking a student? I've never heard of it.
Dunkelfeld's treated about 1,700 since it opened.
And what does this treatment look like?
It's a kind of cognitive behavioral treatment running to all the risky situations. And then we will train him to change his behavior in these situations. The other one would be pharmaceutical options. We can lower sexual urges with very effective drugs. So
essentially, you're putting people back in society only because you've lowered their sex drive? But that doesn't get rid of your companionship, does it? Like when you get old and you don't have testosterone or hormones and that like that, don't you still want that companion there? Okay.
If it's
Is that like chemical castration?
it's like chemical castration, yeah.
How many people have gone through this program and have not offended?
Nearly all of them,
How do you measure that?
by just giving the taking the answers of them. It's subject.
Oh, so they tell you,
Yes.
doctor, is that if you're just relying on them to tell you that they didn't act out as the only measurement of success for this program,
Yeah.
is that enough?
So
As
you got
long as we do not have any other measurements, and we are working on this.
Do you feel like you were born this way?
Basically, yes. Just imagine to feel whatever you may feel for women or men, to feel that romance and sexual attraction, just not to adults, but
Can they not get the same thing out of midgets? Real question. Not fucking around. Can they get the same feeling out of midgets? Because numerically, I'm assuming that it kind of works out. Like it's just as rare. So it should to me.
to kids.
Ooh, Max, that's tough. That's
I know.
when did you realize that you were attracted to kids?
It was around 20. It kind of shattered my whole
How the fuck does that show up at 20? How does that show up at 20? Shouldn't that be like right when you get to puberty? There's no attraction that I've had that showed up at 20 that wasn't there at 12, 13. Come on, man.
self-image. I didn't know at that point that there was a way out.
In 2006, Max went to Dunkelfeld for a year of treatment.
Is there something you tell yourself when you see a young girl that you're attracted to?
In therapy, I learned some strategies to make myself realize that what I'm feeling is very different from what the girl is feeling. I've arrived in my development at the point where I feel mostly completely normal about kids like other people would. I obviously still have the attraction, but it's...
Then how you just... Okay, first statement. I feel just like everybody else about kids, not that I had therapy. Second statement, I still want to fuck. Like you can't make those back to back. No matter how much worse salad it is. You cannot make those things back to back.
On the background.
Do you think you deserve the same rights as adults who are attracted to adults?
If you exclude having sex with kids, yes.
What the fuck does that mean? Like, we're talking about sexual attraction. That's the whole point. What are you talking about? So your answer is no. Right? Because, yes, regular people see kids and they go, oh, cute kid, cute baby. And they might even, if depending on how person they are with them, they play around with them, hug them, shit. Like, is he trying to say, like, yeah, but we just should be able to hug him, or we should be able to hug him? Okay.
So you should be able to live where you want to live and work where you want to work, even if it's at a preschool or elementary school.
Basically, yes. Because everything else would constitute something like thought control.
What does destigmatization look like?
If I'm pedophilically inclined and you will come over and will say to me, listen, please take care of my 5-year-old son. And I would say, no, I'm pedophilically inclined. And if you would judge this in the same way as you would judge the drug addict, then that would be a sign of destigmatization.
That's the world you want to live in.
Yes.
You got a tough job, Doc.
Okay, maybe the doctor's a pedophile.
Yes, correct.
All righty. That was that. So we're still watch list, viewer list. So we want to go ahead and close it up. What is if you watch song playback, what is your thoughts on the approach, all of it, NAMBLA, certain countries' approach to the whole pedophile thing, the Vice whole situation? My thoughts is, first of all, like one of the other videos said, how the fuck is NAMBLA a thing? It baffles me that NAMBLA can just exist. And I know they said they don't have organized meetings. But like I said, if Vice can find somebody or people who are pedophiles, why can't the cops? Or have they? Like what the fuck's really going on in America? But this whole conversion therapy, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. If you was to give me conversion therapy about not liking big butts, no. I mean, unless you like shock me or something like that. Every time I see one, then obviously the brain would go, pain. I associate that with pain. But outside of that, you're not going to talk me into, hey, you like pancake booty. It just won't happen. Right. But again, I am a non-doctor saying that. So, but that's also be right. Not positive. I'm out.